Welcome back to the Capes and Tights podcast right here on capesandtights.com. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. Once again, we're brought to you by our friends over at Galactic Comics and Collectibles at galacticcomicsandcollectibles.com. This episode, we welcome Tyler Crook, who is a comic book artist and writer. After decades of working in the video game industry, he transitioned over to comics in 2011, and he's been going hard strong since. He's known for his work on Harrow County, The Lonesome Hunters, Out of Alcatraz, as well as his story that's featured in the upcoming Hello Darkness number 17, which drops December 24th at your local comic shop. A story called The Pothole. It's great. You should read it now. Well, on December 24th. But before you listen, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places. You can find us and subscribe and rate and review over on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as you can find the video portion of this over on our YouTube channel. And as always, you can visit capesandtights.com for so much more. And this month we have our end of the year lists, our beginning of the year lists, our Christmas stuff. So check all that out over on Capes and Tights. But this is Tyler Crook, writer and artist of the upcoming Hello Darkness number 17, but so much more. Enjoy, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, Tyler. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing really well. Having a nice damp morning here in Western Oregon.
Yeah, like I said, I also figured out, we talked a little bit before we started recording, but like I bought a house and this is definitely an addition that probably used to be a barn of some sort. But they like the people who owned it before me homeschooled their kids in here. And so like it has like bookshelves, which is great for like my books and stuff like that and like whatever. But like when the winter hit, we were definitely like, yeah, I don't think the floor is insulated. Like it's definitely like it's cold here in Maine. And like I walked on the floor. I also moved from a place that had radiant heat. And so like going to a place that the floors are actually cold, I was like, yeah, this is not, I don't think. And then I realized that like the floor, there's a door outside right here. And I don't think that the bottom's sealed very well. So like air gets in. And so I'm like, the heat's working pretty hard in here, man. Like it's not
Yeah.
very good, but I think I'm gonna figure it out. It's the perks of owning a home, right? They figuring
You
those
know,
things out.
when we moved to Oregon, I like came here and I was like under the impression I'm like, oh, it rains constantly. So people must like have their houses set up to deal with all this
Yeah.
rain. And it's like, no,
No.
no, every house is just being slowly soaked to death in this state. And I
Hey, it's
imagine
weather,
it's the
man.
same in Maine. It's like you'd think
Oh,
that they would be ready for the Maine winters, but
yeah.
no, people just live with it.
Well, I've tried to replace a light switch yesterday in my bathroom. So the bathroom, the half bathroom downstairs that my kids use a lot, the light switch is like halfway up the wall, like way up the wall. And so like
Mhm.
he can't, my son's 4 and he can't reach it. So he's like, get a stool out, turn the light on. So we end up just leaving the light on. And I don't want to do that. So I was like, I'll get one of those like motion censored ones, right? Like you just, so that way
Oh,
someone
okay.
walks in the room and then like 5 minutes later turns off. It'd be great because he never turns the light off anyway. Yeah. And they're always like, connect the gold wire here and the blue wire here. And I like, it's 100-year-old's house. They didn't like this is not color coded correctly. I had to figure this. I'm like up and
Yeah.
down the stairs, turning off the breaker to the basement, trying to figure this out. I ended up not getting it done because it just didn't work. So the old light switch is back. But yeah, old houses are not set up that way. And yeah, weather wise, I don't think that they thought well, also weather's changed a little bit, right, Tyler? I think
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
little different than it was 100 years ago. But yeah, so we're here to chat comics and stuff like that. We actually did a quick like email interview with you a couple years ago for our horror week, just to getting to know you a
Oh,
little bit. And so I think people can find that on the internet somewhere. But I've been meaning to try to get you on. I'm a huge Harrow County fan, and so there's that. I'm a fan of your artwork, fan of your writing. I loved Out of Alcatraz, so we'll chat a little bit of that too. But like, just getting started. I have my Harrow County. Look at this thing.
yeah,
Oh
you got
Jesus.
the
This thing
dresser
it's
drawer.
like weighs a ton, first of all. I don't know why I think I got it because I just love the thing so much that I can't. Yeah. Um, when you and Cullen worked on this, did you ever
Mhm.
imagine the number of ways it was to be printed, the legacy that it has now, the feat that it's gotten, all that stuff when you first released issue one?
No, no, never. Like I never go into any project being like, this is going to be a huge success. I usually go into a project being like,
This is gonna
man,
stink. No.
I hope we can like I hope we can like finish this.
Mhm.
I hope it doesn't get canceled before, after the first issue or whatever. So, so yeah, no, it's all just like it always just feels like a giant gift, how well Harrow County does. And I really can't believe it's been over 10 years and it's
Yeah.
still just chugging along.
It's also
You know,
published at a
it's like,
publisher that seems to figure out a way to publish it in multiple different options here, like library
yeah, yeah,
edition and this and softcover, hardcover. It's all these different options out there, but it's just kind of funny when you look at it. You can't just search for like Harrow County now. It's like there's all these different versions. Like I try to link in like
yeah.
the bio of the podcast, like, hey, Tyler's known for this, and you click on this thing, and it's like you can't just be like click to the trade paperback because there's like 14 different options for what you can get this hardcover. Like it's pretty cool. This is definitely a collector's item to me. It actually sits on a shelf over
Yeah.
there, holding up my Goosebumps books, one end of the Goosebumps books. So that's in good company there. But I don't know if I'd ever read it. It's either
It's yeah, it's not a physically easy thing to read. We
no.
actually just came out with uh, this,
Oh, there you
and
go. Yeah, see,
this is basically the same thing
yeah,
except in a soft cover.
yeah, and so it
Um,
doesn't actually like weigh 1,000 pounds.
yeah,
It
yeah,
weighs
but I
it
mean, it
weighs
is.
more than the GI Joe one. Have you seen the GI Joe omnibuses that weigh like they literally could blow away in the wind? It's like
No,
it's
I
like
haven't seen this.
it's like I went to pick it up one day and I think I pulled a muscle at my LCS because I pulled it up thinking it was going to weigh like 500 pounds and it ended up weighing like 3 ounces. But yeah, I can see to me still. I have an argument with my LCS owner about not argument, but just like a fun jab at each other is that he reads omnibuses like all the time, like
Mhm.
big on like he reads like all of Amazing Spider-Man. He's reading like the omnibus of it, and I am like okay, I want like the five trades or the whatever number because it's like I want to be able
Mhm.
to pick that up and carry it with me and so on and so forth. Like I'm not gonna like go on a plane and like shove my omnibus in the back of it, like
Yeah,
and like so it's one of those things. So it's a difference in that, but like there's just such a cool like connection to this one with the drawer and, the skins, the whole
yeah,
thing is just the presentation of it is gorgeous. So it's like that's why when I it went on sale somewhere and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it right now. And afterwards I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do with it? Literally sits on now, like literally characters like there's like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figure like sits on it because it's like a shelf now. It's
yeah,
like it
yeah.
actually is a drawer. You just pull it out. But yeah, it's pretty cool though. I think that like and then there's been other stuff, but Cullen Bunn's one of my favorite comic book writers as well.
Mhm.
Also, if anybody's got a chance, he wrote a new novel too, which is actually really good too.
I just
Um,
started that the other day.
it's so good. Like
It's very scary and gross.
it is, but it's Cullen Bunn for you. Like
Hmm.
it fits his mo. But yeah, so that's pretty cool seeing it like evolve over the years and do these different things with Harrow County. But now you've got the opportunity to write some stuff and draw and so on and so forth. Do you find a passion in one or the other, or is it just like you like creating stuff?
I like creating stuff. I like um I like having like sort of as much control over what I'm making as I possibly can. And I feel like I always wanted to write stuff. I always wanted to write comics, but I didn't know how to write and I
Mhm.
didn't know how to learn how to write. Um until I started working with writers and I spent a decade working with, some of the best. Like I worked with John Arcudi, Mignola, Cullen Bunn, Jeff Lemire, like all these guys, like I learned just so much from working with them. And I was like, at some point I was like, okay, I feel like I see how these things are constructed and how they are developed, and I can sort of like find my own way to do that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And so you did that with the Lonesome Hunters, where you were both, you were almost complete control. You still have some
Yeah.
people that are telling, talking to editors, things like that,
Yeah, I got
publishers.
my editors and
You,
stuff.
you still have to answer to some people at some level.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see that, and I understand. I think that's why a lot of people who like Cullen, speaking of your partner in crime there for Harrow County, writing his novel, like writing that, it's like 100% him. Like it's like he has
Yeah.
editors saying things and so on and so forth, but there's no like and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. I'm guessing like it's sometimes it's nice to have that other person to bounce things off of. Like you're writing a comic, having an artist be like, what about this? And so you have that extra. But sometimes it's just like, no, I want to just I want to do the thing. I want to make sure this is like the way I want it to be, and there's no interference in that sense, right?
Well, there's definitely like a little bit of mental protection when you're working with collaborators. Because if somebody is like, "Oh, I don't like Harrow County," I can be like, "Well, maybe you just didn't like the writing.
Hmm.
Yeah, the art was great. You just didn't like the writing, you know." But when it's all you, it really feels like when someone says like that they don't like it, it really is just sort of like,
Yeah,
"Oh, you don't like you don't like what's in my soul," you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, yeah, there is series that are out there that the art's amazing. It's just not something that grabs me,
Hmm.
or the story the opposite. You know, the art's phenomenal in the story. So yeah, it is one of those things where you can like call out one thing, but yeah, if you can't really, because either way, it's really gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
If oh, it was the editor's fault. My editor made me do that. It's all them. It was the publisher. No. But yeah, you've been
Yeah.
doing full length comics series. You've done, like I said, Harrow County, out of Alcatraz. Some of my favorites right now. I mean, out of Alcatraz was phenomenal. Are you a fan of Alcatraz and like the lore and the history behind that, or is that just something that you partnered up and did?
We no, no, and the answer is no. We actually went to Alcatraz for my wife and I's honeymoon. We went to San Francisco and we did go to Alcatraz during that trip. And it was really cool and fun and but I hadn't really thought about it in years. Like the thing that really attracted me to that project was just so the editor Bess Polaris just sent me an email kind of out of the blue and was sort of like, we're working on this out of Alcatraz book, and I think it's really good. Why don't you take a look at it? And Chris Cantwell, the writer, had been working on it as a screenplay. He wanted to do
Okay.
it as a TV series, and and usually, like when somebody sends me a script, because they sent me a television script for it, and usually when that happens, like I'm just like, come on. I'm just like, no, don't send me that crap. But I actually was like at a moment where I'm like, I need a job. So send it over and I'll see what I think. And I actually just really fell in love with it. Like Chris structured a story that was like where it's like everybody is dealing with essentially the same issue, but they're all coming at it from different
Mhm.
perspectives and they're all coming at it from different histories and they're all just trying to figure out this one single problem. And it just felt so like focused and emotionally charged and the historical part of it I really really like. I always like doing period stuff.
Mhm.
Um so like I was by the time I finished the script I'm like, yeah, let's do this. This sounds great.
It's
And I
a
think it
yeah.
turned out great too. It's one of my favorite projects I've ever worked on. And it's a shorter project.
Mhm.
Um it's 5 issues. One of them was a double-sized issue, so it's kind of like 6 issues
Yeah.
worth of story. Um but I really feel like it hits just like characters and themes and everything in a way that I just love. That I'm really really happy with that book.
It stands out to me, honestly. It actually is one of my This is a spoiler to anybody who's going to listen to our comics of the year episode. It is one of my comics of the year, and so
Nice.
it's one of those ones. I personally like. I'd read anything if anybody were to write a comic book on like the history or something around the Zodiac killer. I'd probably read that like 100% instantly. And it's one of
Hmm.
those things like the mysteries behind some of these like unsolved. Like how the hell have we not solved these specific things or know these specific things and
Yeah.
so on. And Alcatraz to me has always been one of those places. If I ever want to visit other places in the country, it's been one of those places that's like always been at the top of that list of wanting to go to. I haven't got a chance to yet, but like the idea of going there. It's gonna be opened up as a prison again now soon anyway, so don't worry about that, right? But no, so maybe I'll just get arrested and then I'll go there and I'll visit it. No,
Yeah.
but the historical fiction part of it, the fact that it's based on like the initial part is kind of based on a true story in a sense, but then you can go anywhere you want with it, which is pretty
Hmm.
cool in my opinion. It's like taking a story, like I said, the Zodiac Killer. We haven't cut the Zodiac Killer yet, so you could really tell a story based around who the Zodiac Killer actually is in your
Hmm.
comic, and still based it in like real life, but we haven't discovered this yet. And so that's what Alcatraz to me was like this could be real kind of thing
Yeah.
because like we don't know kind of thing, and so that was just kind of cool to me. But then the story evolves into something really cool, I'm a huge fan of Christopher Cantwell as well, and so
Yeah.
that helped a
Yeah.
little bit too. And yeah, over at Oni Press was an excellent like you said, 5 issue miniseries, but really kind of had like 6 issues worth of comics in it. And the
Hmm.
hardcover just came out too, so it's just pretty cool. So you can grab that and have it all in one. It came out in October, somewhere on a shelf over there
Yeah.
somewhere. But yeah, I didn't grab that one to bring over. Right, I only had the table could only hold so much weight,
You're right. I
and the
got it.
Harrow County.
This is good podcasting.
There,
Uh,
see, there you go. Ah, it's so gorgeous too. I think it's like I don't know. And hardcover to me is I'm a huge hardcover novel. Like when I buy novels, I buy them in hardcover because I'm a
Mhm.
collector and I want to move things around and do whatever, and they hold
Yeah,
up
yeah.
better. Number of times I've like put a soft cover book on a shelf and like bent a corner of it or something like that. And so a trade, whatever. But again, I don't know how much this room can hold and weight. I haven't figured that. It can obviously hold the Harrow County special edition over here. We obviously know that now. But no, it's gorgeous, and I think out of Alcatraz, like something special about it. Like I said, I don't know if I could put a actual finger on like a specific reason why I love the comic. It's just I
Yeah.
don't know. This year, it struck a chord with me this year, and there wasn't enough good comics this year, Tyler. That's what it was. It wasn't enough good comics, so it fell into the top 10 comics of the year. No, like I said, it's a historical fiction part of it to me. I think
Mhm.
it struck a chord with me. I don't know. I don't know. I guess that's what it
Well, I
is.
think that it's like it's a story that like we weren't like super concerned with the Alcatraz part of it. Like that was the jumping off point and sort of like the hook for the
Hmm.
beginning of the story, but really like the historic part of the story like ends after like 2.5 or 3 pages,
Yes.
and then it's like all just made up, you know, speculative stuff. And
Mm.
it's not even really like if you watched Escape from Alcatraz, the
Yep.
movie, like that movie is like entirely concerned with here's the mechanics of how they were able to escape.
Hmm.
It's like that's the
Not the part
like
of the
even the
story. Yeah.
character development is like kind of like they weren't really interested in that as much
No.
as they were interested in the mechanics of how they got through the wall and got out. And we approach the story very differently where it's like very little interest in that part of it, but a whole lot of interest in like how these men who were and women who were living in the 60s in America were really trying to navigate this desire for freedom
Hmm.
and like because like escaping from Alcatraz did not bring them freedom.
No.
You know what I mean? They're still like constrained by what they're able to do and who they are able to be and the ways that they're able to live in the world. And so yeah, I just think that it turned into a really interesting and compelling story about,
Yeah.
human motivations and I think it is like really like one of those stories that's sort of uniquely about America
Hmm.
um, in a way, and like trying to decide, especially in that time period in America where um, people were really trying to explore ways of pushing the limits of their freedom and their
Hmm.
liberty within the larger society. And yeah.
Yeah, they're criminal. There are criminals. Like obviously they're criminals
Mhm.
because they're in Alcatraz, so they escape it. But for some reason, I felt myself cheering for them to succeed at what they were doing because I don't know. It was one of those things. It's like this again. It roots in the fact that the mystery behind who's escaped Alcatraz and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
But then so you're like they did make it to shore. Or most of them made it to shore, or yeah. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Is But then you want to see them succeed at what they're doing. And so as they go along and
Mhm.
they go along and they find these different things and encounter these different problems, I want them to succeed at what they're doing because of the fact that I'm like, they did it. Screw the, screw the government, screw the whatever it may be, screw the people. Even though I'm like, wait a second, they were in there for a reason. Whether how small
Yeah.
or big the reason was, they're still in there for a reason. So I'm still like, oh, that's kind of weird. So it's like it's the same thing with like if I read a Zodiac killer thing. I'd be like, oh, cool, he got away with it. But wait a second, he killed a bunch of people. I shouldn't be cheering for this person. But
Well,
again, it's a fictionalization of the story.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well, one of the cultural myths about Alcatraz is that it was like the prison where they put the worst of the
yes,
worst.
yes.
And our criminals, Frank Morrison was in for oh man,
Now I forget.
I think
Yeah,
he
I
did
forget what it was.
robbery with a fake gun, and the other brothers were in for like forging checks.
Mm,
But the reason why they were in Alcatraz specifically was because they had all tried to escape various prisons that they were in other states. And so it's like they weren't like especially like hardened violent criminals or anything like that, but they were serial escapists.
and they got I said, and they get out of Alcatraz. Whether they succeed at what they're doing, I'm gonna let you figure that out as reading the comic. But like the idea that they actually escaped the island itself, it's like, oh yeah, they did it. They got to land. They cheer them on. Yeah, go, 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 go. Was just I don't know what it is. It's but it also reminded me. I've watched that show on. It was I forgot what TV show or channel it was on, but Alcatraz. It was called just Alcatraz, and it was about like people who were on the island, like just started to appear, like older, like people who have like died, like
Hmm.
have just started to appear, and they're trying to bring these criminals like some sort of supernatural element to the show. But like it got canceled with like one episode left, and so they showed the last episode with a super cliffhanger, and they never made any more of the show again. So I've always been like, oh, I want to revisit this show. This would be amazing. I love the whole like mystery behind or the
Mhm.
theme behind Alcatraz. And they're like, but then I get to the other last episode, I'm like, God damn it! I keep setting myself up for failure because I wanted to continue, and they never continued it. So yeah, so Alcatraz has always had that. I think that's what caught me, and I think that's what one of the big things is it probably says the words Alcatraz on it. So people were initially, interested in grabbing the
Yeah.
comic book. And then once they get reading it, then they're hooked onto it. I think it's a great way and a great base to the story. But again, yeah, it's only the beginning of the story. And is there a couple flashbacks like where they talk, because they talked to someone else and they talked about, they interview people on the island to try to find out how they escaped or something like that. But other than that, it's basically on the run from
Yeah.
there and trying to
Yeah.
get to freedom. But yeah, it's like so you've also you're an artist and writer, and you work with some pretty bangers of writers when you do just the art, like
Mhm.
Christopher Cantwell, Cullen Bunn, like there's those people up the top. What is it like that? I mean, do you get along with these people very well? Do you enjoy working with them? Not these specific people, but all of the people. Do you like working in tandem with people like that? I mean, obviously we
Yeah,
mentioned you
yeah,
like
I
working
do.
alone, but like when you get to work with someone else.
Hmm. I like I'm sort of like I get really bored of doing one thing. So I
Hmm.
really like mixing it up between like writing my own stuff and then working with writers. It feels like it uses different muscles, artistic muscles, in the process. And working every writer that I've worked with is different. I mean, some writers I'm, in constant communication with, others they just send me the script and I bang it out. And it's everything's just a little bit different. But
Hmm.
I really like that it's different. I like
Hmm.
that every project is its own thing and that I'm trying to figure out how to tell the story that I'm either coming up with or has been presented to me and based on its own that dealing with the story and the collaborators on their own terms is
Hmm.
really fun and interesting to me.
You also, if you like, look at your history of comics and what you've worked on. So, because you're an artist, do you do a number of variant covers and things like that too? Do you enjoy
Mhm.
that part of it too, where you get to like dabble in a bunch of different universes of sorts because you get to do the variant cover, like you did a Magic cover coming up here, and so you get to work with the Magic
Yeah,
universe and so on. Is that fun too? I mean, obviously it's fun. You wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't
it's
fun, but
the variant covers are really fun, but I have to really like the thing that I enjoy more is storytelling. So I
Mm,
enjoy doing interiors much more than I like doing covers. And I spend like I don't know, like I get a lot of like variant cover requests, and I say no to probably two-thirds of them because I try to schedule them so that I'm not like only doing covers,
mhm.
you know. Because doing just a single image is it's its own kind of challenge and its own kind of fun, but it's not as fun and challenging as telling a story
Mhm.
and doing sequential, interior pages for me.
Yeah, and it's funny how some people like if find a living and that's what they do. It's variant covers. It's like that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
pays the bill, and then a sequential or something else is just something that the opposite, where they just like fill time with that, but they just do variant covers is what they do. And like I got to make sure I get the XYZ cover when I'm at the local comic book shop. It's always like
Mhm.
I want the Scotty Young cover or the so and so cover,
Yeah.
and it's what they find their thing. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. It's like there's more storytelling in sequential art than there is just you can only get so much story across in a cover, and a lot of
Hmm.
times it's someone else's story, so it's not even like you have like that much of
Yeah.
control over that. You have control over some of it, like it's like someone else's characters and story that need to be on that cover. You can't just be like, I'm gonna do what I want.
Well, and lots of times too, they'll you'll get a variant cover thing and they'll be like, it's this character, and I'm like, all right, do you want to send me the script or the story outline? And they're like, oh, we don't have that yet. It's just that guy. Just do a picture of that guy. And that's like not as fun to me. Like I really like it when I can get like if I can see like story pages
Yeah.
and like know what the story is and do a cover that's like based on that, then I'm a lot happier. But
Yeah.
sometimes that just isn't available.
Well, I'm a graphic designer by trade. My day job is designing beer labels for a brewery and or amongst other things, but my main job is that. And so it's funny when the ownership sometimes comes to me and is like, "Hey, can you do a beer label that has this, a monkey doing this?" And it's like literally the entire you just described it to me, but like they don't have the skills to put it into onto a label, so no, I have to do it. And if I don't do exactly the way they had it envisioned, they're always like, "That's not what I had envisioned." I'm like, okay, that's not very fun. It's basically you're just telling me like to do something in a specific way. And it's like I always want to be like, can I also do what my interpretation of this label would be and give it
Yeah,
to you
yeah.
and see if you like that too. But yeah, it's always or sometimes they do literally come to me like, we have the color blue in mind. And we need to do a label, and I'm like, "Oh, cool! That way I have nothing to go on here."
Yeah,
And then you
yeah,
make the label, and they're like, "Nah, that's not what we were picturing." I'm like, "What?" But
yeah.
yeah, so label, I would say beer labels and variant covers are in a similar vein in that. Like you have one
I
image
did
to really get a story across.
I started my career doing graphic design stuff, and I literally had clients. I worked at a design studio,
Mm.
and we literally would have clients that would sit over my shoulder, like next to me, and be like, "Move that up just a little bit,"
Yeah,
and
no.
it's like, click, click, move it down, click, click. It's pretty miserable.
Oh, it is. And it's like it's literally to the point where you have a skill that someone else doesn't have, and that's the you're doing something because they can't do it, even though they want to be able to do it, and it's
Yeah.
hard. And it's one of the. I mean, I'm lucky I have a job at a specific location doing specific thing because it is an
Mhm.
industry that's dying in a sense that people are being able to do it themselves or use other software online that's like
Yeah,
helping
yeah.
them. It's the whole web design thing. It's like web designers are very far and few between now because it's so much quote unquote easier to do it yourself and cost effective that graphic designers, I have a couple of friends of mine that are looking for jobs because of the fact that they don't have it. So I'm lucky enough that I actually have like a business to work for that I do it just for them. And so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have to worry about it. And I have people have asked me, hey, can you do this? I'm like, no, I don't have time. I don't want to do it. Plus, again, it's usually a favor. And it's like, hey, can you hook me up with this? I'll trade you that. I'm like, I don't have time for this because you're also going to
Yeah,
nitpick me and not get full value out of this thing. I mean, if you're gonna pay me a couple $1,000s, we'll talk. But if you're gonna be like, "Hey, I'll give you a
yeah.
case of beer," I'm like, I can get that. I don't need your case of beer."
And there is like, and it's not universal, but there is like a real, like the more people pay you,
Mhm.
the more they trust you to just do your
Yeah.
job. And the
Yep.
less they pay you, the more they're gonna like
Yep.
really ride your ass and like make
Mhm.
sure you, you know, do exactly what they want. And yeah.
Yeah, and so like I said, it's my wife has even done things for her work where she's like, oh, I just went on this website and was able to do this, and I was like, oh, cool. Thanks for taking our jobs away. I'm the guy that goes and does like talks to the cashier at the grocery store. No, I use self checkout, so I'm to blame on that too. So, but yeah, it's kind of funny in that situation. I think that but yeah, I can see the whole like single static image being a less creative in freedom of like being able to tell a story, and so I can see doing interiors is
Oh,
to be. I just don't have that in me. I don't know if I could draw the same character doing different thing. I don't. I just
oh,
to me, it's just so hard for me to grasp that, and like I'd get bored by the fourth band. I'll be like, I want to try something else.
yeah, yeah. No, I love like even before I got into comics, I was really into whenever I did a lot of painting just as a hobby, you know. I was working doing video games and then I'd come home at night and
Mm,
paint and stuff. And even when I was just painting, I would get really, really bored of painting like a single image. And I would lots of times like take a panel and like divide it down the middle and do two paintings together, like to exist as one piece of artwork. But it's like having that juxtaposition is
mm,
like really, really fun. And I always feel like, and I had this feeling when I was in video games too. Like I worked on sports games. I worked on a game called Game Day for a couple years.
mm.
And I remember the first time I made a character model of one of the players, and I took it through the process to get it into the game, and then I
Mhm.
went over to one of the programmer's desk, and he was like playing this little guy. I was like, "Holy shit, the guy came to life! Like that little guy on my screen, he came to life." And I feel that a lot with comics, where it's like you do that panel to panel, and like the drawing like really feels like it has come to life for me, and it's like these little guys in their squares are having adventures, and I'm just like, I don't know, it's way more exciting to me. It feels like more like these things come to life,
Well,
which
yeah, I
is
would say
it's a cool feeling.
I have two or three ideas that I've wanted to write a comic book at some point. I'm gonna sit down and actually just do it. But like to me, I'm always that same thing. If I say I was like, oh, Tyler, you want to write do a comic book together, and you're like, cool, and you sent me artwork, I'd be like, that's awesome, let's do it. Like I would never have much feedback back because to me it would be like, you did that, you took what I had pictured in my head and put it to
Mhm.
life, and I'm like, oh, cool. Now we know what the characters look like because I didn't really know what they look like in my head, and you made
Yeah.
them happen. So I don't think I would be a very good partner to work with because I'd be like, cool, you can do what you want. I don't know, man. You had it in your head. You have a vision, and I think that's what it is. I think when you talk to an artist and you say this is my idea, I think immediately we start clicking what characters would look like or what things would look like, and they start doing that,
Mhm.
and you start doing motion. And again, I don't think give enough freedom in that, in like you were mentioning on just a cover. But yeah, it's I would yeah, my person's come to life. I can picture that. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you find, you mentioned that similarity, but do you find a lot of similarities between video game and the comic book world, or is it pretty much separate?
It's very different. Like, well, at least like the way I did video games, because I worked at a pretty big studio, and it's
Hmm.
like in that context, you're really just sort of like a cog in the machine, like you're just doing your little bit, and it goes together with, 80 other people's little bits, and it all just sort of, you're not working on anything. And I also worked on sports games,
Yeah, so it's
which are
even
not
less.
like the
Yeah.
most artistically adventurous format of video game.
I mean,
So
it's
it's like,
different. When's the last time you worked on a video game? Like
oh,
legitimately for like
like,
work. 2010, it says 2011 in your bio. Does that sound
yeah,
right?
2011 was when I quit and started doing comics full time.
So like
But
15 years ago, roughly, or 14 years
yeah,
ago,
yeah, it was a long
right?
time ago.
Video games are different now, huh? Like,
Y- Yes and no. Like I think that like the technology is like slightly different.
yeah,
Um but the same challenges exist
yeah,
for
is
video
this?
games
Yeah,
that have
yeah,
always
yeah.
existed. Like there's like I don't know. I don't play a ton of video games
Yeah.
anymore. So, like actually, as soon as I quit video games, I didn't play a video game again until like probably 8 years. And then because every time I went to like pick up a game, I would just like start go into video game developer mode and start
Hmm.
thinking like, oh, how did they do the shaders? Like, oh, how is this character rigged? What's going
Yeah.
on with the game? And it was exhausting. And then I finally started playing Minecraft, and I was like that game is just laid so bare that I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't even have to think about it. I can
No.
just like just enjoy it for what it is. And that sort of has gotten me back into games a little bit. But like, yeah, I don't know. It feels like the same bullshit, kind of. Like they
Yeah, I can.
just
Yeah.
like add a few more polygons every year and act like, games are all new, and
Yes.
and it's kind of the same stuff. I mean, I
Like,
guess the
yeah.
real big stuff is like the open world things have gotten a
Yeah.
lot better.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy to me. To
Yeah.
me, it's still like I play Grand Theft Auto, and I've played like Red Dead Redemption, those style games where you can like
Yeah.
kind of take your pace and do kind of your own thing, kind of thing. I'm not very good at video games in general, and so I would like to play Mario, like that like the original Mario, not like the Mario that my kids are gonna play.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like, so to me, it's just the simplicity of it. But yeah, I can. But I used to work in the restaurant business. I was a general manager for a restaurant, and I would go into other restaurants and do that. Like it sucked to
Oh
go out to
yeah.
eat because you'd sit
Yeah.
down and be like, "Well, we would do it differently." Oh yeah, that person's not doing that right. Or oh, that would be good. We should implement that in our restaurant, like that kind of thing. And it's
Yeah.
like it never worked out well going to another restaurant because the entire time you're there, like your friends are all talking and you're like in another world thinking about other things. And I'm like, yeah, this is not good. I can't do this anymore. And so yeah, I can see that not taking a break from video games might have made
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
sense now and getting into it. But yeah, you're in the comic world now, which is obviously you know changing and evolving a little bit. Like it's not it's kind of the same as it was in 2011 when you do it, but like I don't know, there's just a different vibe to it over the
It's
past couple of
like
years.
no, I think it's way different than when I first
Okay.
started. Well, and some things are way different. Like I think culturally it's way different. Like I really think that more, and it ebbs and flows, but I really feel like publishers are more open to women and marginalized
Yeah.
creators doing stuff now than they were in 2011. But like I said, it ebbs and flows. Like
Mm.
it gets better and it gets worse and gets better and gets worse. Um,
The
but
one,
like, and
yeah, go
and
ahead.
obviously the distribution stuff from the
Is
last couple of years is has just been ridiculous. And the social media changes have
Mhm.
had a big impact on the industry, I think, too.
Which kind of stinks, and I don't want to go on a whole tangent about social media, but like the number of creators I've talked to on this podcast, this is episode like 259 or something like that. And so over the years, I've talked to so many creators that like the good portion of them, like, how'd you get on this book? Oh, we DM'd on Twitter, and like it's like
Mhm.
that connection of like 250 episodes talking to someone about this is like cool. And like they were on Twitter still and still talking and still trying to get work on Twitter. And nowadays it's like people are like, we should just get rid of social media because all of it's crap and all that stuff now. And it's been crap basically since the beginning anyway. But
Yeah,
the idea that it was so much more, you could connect a little bit easier because now you don't even know. Like now I'm like, hey, how do I get a hold of Tyler? Is he on Instagram? I don't know. Is he on Blue Sky? Is he on whatever new fan thing is? Oh, he's still on Twitter.
yeah,
Oh, cool. Like that kind of thing. It's like it's not as easy anymore. And I think that changed a little bit of how people connected with each other on getting jobs, even. I think there's a little bit
yeah.
more people are like, I used to just DM someone on Twitter and be like, hey, you want to work together?
Well, yeah, it really feels like the all these social media companies like came in and took over like all of these different forms of communication and
Mm.
sharing and destroyed the stuff that was before it. And then, they'll tweak the algorithm and it won't work for you anymore. And it's like I think at least I hope people are starting to really sort of feel how social media is not like reliable
Mm.
way to like if your business or your career relies on social media, then you need to like work on something, something else. I at least have a website where people can contact me, but
Yes, yes, yeah. Well,
yeah,
I've always thought about that with any day who's an influencer on there or they make their chunk of money and you see them at their house. Like you see them over the years. Like you watch them at the beginning and they're in their basement of their mother's house. And all of a sudden, or you see like a video where like they're in this massive kitchen. It's like obviously they use their funds from social media to
mhm.
buy this big house. But in my mind, I'd be scared shitless that like tomorrow they just aren't able to do that
Yeah,
anymore. So like I could see it these people over the years, people diversifying and actually like getting into different businesses with the money they're using. It's a smart thing to do.
yeah,
It's like don't just take the money from social media and spend it because there's one of these days it's not going to be there anymore. Like it's not going to work.
yeah,
And so it's like it's not in the same way because again, even some of my friends who were like in actually the brewery I work for, it's like we follow likes and shares and all that stuff. Like, and it's changed. Like we used to be able to post a photo that was really cool of just someone on the ski mountain and get, we have 25, 30,000 followers and you'd get 10,000 likes. Now the same photo you post now could get like 400. And it's just like all
yeah.
the algorithms have changed, like you mentioned, that doesn't work the same way anymore. And it's just, it's we've seen it on our social media, just the interactions aren't there anymore and all that stuff. So things have changed. And again, a part of it is not everybody's in one spot. It used to be that like in the comic book world, like the majority of people were on Twitter. So you could actually go on Twitter and be like, okay, this is where you're going to find someone. Or like it was like Twitter and
Yeah.
Instagram. Now it's like you don't know. Like they're like someone's like, I'm gonna just go back on
Yeah.
my Tumblr. I'm gonna get my live journal going again. Like they're like we're gonna go back and do
Yeah.
that now. Or MySpace.
Well,
Where's MySpace?
and it's also like just really it got really clear to me, I don't know, probably like 5 years ago, just when I realized that there's like a lot of artists that I really loved and follow on social media, and they would have like 50,000, 60,000 followers on like Instagram, and then I would know just from like knowing the artist that they're having a hard time paying rent.
Yes.
And it's just like, and I would have like my 2,000 followers and be like, I'm paying rent. How is that not translating to money? And it's like, and it's true, but it's just like there's a complete disconnect
hmm
between like social media popularity and your ability to make a living.
hmm it's crazy, but yeah. So you have other things, but one of the things I have noticed, and it's maybe there was a gap almost. There wasn't like it's changed, not more of it, but like anthologies. Like I feel like there
Yeah.
was like all the major publishers now have some sort of, or not all of them, but like if you have your independent publisher, like you have Hello Darkness at Boom, and you have the EC stuff, and blanking on the other
Skybound
one.
has Creep Show.
Yep. Like they have these different outlets now. I feel like it's pretty cool to see these spots. And I think that like maybe I just didn't take notice to it as much, but I feel like recently it was like all the publishers that I like have something. And maybe
Yeah.
not all year, but at least they put something on around the holidays, like Halloween special or a Christmas one
Yeah,
or so on
yeah.
and so forth. You have Chris Ryall and Jordan Hart doing Dread the Halls. Like you have them doing their thing. So it's you have this place in this landscape that you can tell some of these stories. I mean, you've now written for a couple of them and illustrated for a couple of them. Do you
Mhm.
find that fun? Do you have that short story kind of like thing where you can get a cool, quick story out?
Yeah, I love it. I love short stories. And it's like whenever it's they have their own challenges,
Mm,
like doing a really short story is you have to like create a whole world within, X number of pages and then like get to the end. But it also feels like l much lower stakes. Like you don't
mm,
actually have to like do Lord of the Rings. You can actually just do a story. Like I did that story for EC called Gray Green Memories that is like 8 pages of a zombie standing in a grocery store and like
mm.
that's it. And it was just like it was a story that I've actually had like in my sketchbook from like before I got into comics. And I was just like, yes, I can finally do that. And it was like, and I think it's like a wonderful little story.
Mm,
But
mm.
I don't know, it's just scratches a different itch than doing long form stuff. And I yeah, I wish it was more popular. Like I wish like I think anthologies are great and I
I,
wish there
I,
was more of them.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I mean, most of them. I would think that the majority of them we've seen are horror, right? I mean, there's not very
Yeah.
many anthologies that don't circle around horror, which is great. But to me, it's that quick hit, that complete story,
Hmm.
but we've also seen both sides where either it's spun out to something, or they plan to just like give you a teaser of it in the anthology, and then it's spun out into
Hmm.
something because they were planning that all along, or they've seen the success of a specific story, people talking about it on social media or whatever, and they've gone out of that. So you've seen Boom has a couple that have come out of Hello Darkness, and you've seen, EC's done some couple ones that have come out of that, and so on and so forth, which is pretty cool. But like, yeah, the quick hit part of it, like and especially these ones that are based around the holidays. I mean, you did the Headless Horseman one
Oh
over
yeah,
at Dark
yeah.
Horse, like that idea that you can like read it in October and be like, cool, I got this, and then potentially like holiday ones, you could go back
Hmm.
to like you do Christmas movies, where you could be like,
Yeah,
every
yeah.
Christmas, I'm just gonna sit down and make sure I get my Hello Darkness from this year and my Dread the Hall, and they put them all together and then go back to the shelf and be like, these are my anthologies for holiday, and read those again, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
And I think that there's some of those that do that, and I think that these anthologies are fun to like. Again, people are trade waiting nowadays, so it's like instead of that, you can buy these anthologies hopefully every week, depending
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
publisher, and read a story that's complete, and you don't have to worry about waiting until next month to get the end of the story or whatever. It's pretty cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wish, the thing I wish that they would bring back is backup stories.
Hmm.
We did that in Harrow County. We did the one-page backup story, and I really think that like every publisher should dedicate like 2 to 4 pages at the back of every issue to do a backup story,
It, it,
even if it's unrelated to the
the
main
actual story,
story,
yeah, yeah.
Just
But
it's just as a way for like new creators, especially to like be able to get in front of eyeballs and sort of develop that talent.
well, that's good. I love how you said that because like the Shining anthology book that's coming out in next couple of years. It's the
Hmm.
second in the Stephen King universe that they did the one on the
They did
stand.
the stand, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, The Shining one, it's like they've got like 10 authors that are like New York Times best-selling authors. But then they're doing open call for authors that you must not have like published with the top five publisher and all this stuff. And
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
that is so badass because like you're gonna be able, no one's gonna, let's say no one. Little number of people are gonna like skip those stories. Like you're gonna read the book, and
yeah,
so like
yeah.
seeing that ability to actually have that, and the same thing in a backup story of a comic, or even in these anthologies, have you doing a story and Kaplan doing a story, and then have it be like some random person who gets a 3-page story in the middle there that you actually like.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna like skip over that one to get to the next story. I'm like, it's a comic
Yeah.
book. I'm just gonna read the whole thing, and I think that would be kind of cool place to get people started. And I think that to connect this to the variant cover, I think that's what I do appreciate about variant covers. There is that ability for artists to get their eyes out there sometimes
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
store exclusives or so on and so forth with the variant covers, because there's definitely some creators who have been like, oh my God, this is beautiful. I've never heard of them before. And they literally have a couple of independent stuff or Kickstarted stuff, but don't have anything major. And then they get some work from that because people actually see it in front of their eyes. So yeah, backup stories would be fun. And then you can almost like include it in the trade or like release a single issue of it collected if it was like per issue it continued would be
Hmm,
kind of cool
hmm.
too. But yeah,
Yeah,
anthologies
yeah.
are awesome in my opinion, and so obviously you like doing them, so you're gonna do some more of them.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually working on one today.
Oh, there you go. So there you go. But so
Yeah.
your Hello Darkness is one that came out. We're now on the 17th issue as of December 24th. Will be the 17th issue in that series, and that one's
Hmm.
kind of cool too because as a fan of comics and a fan of like prose fiction novels, I've seen some crossover now with like in these anthologies. Creepshow had Philip Fracassi, who's a great author, did a story in a Creepshow comic. Hello Darkness had
Hmm.
Chuck Tingle, who's a phenomenal and awesome horror
Yeah,
writer,
yeah.
did a story on Hello Darkness. And so seeing these people getting an opportunity to dip their toes in the potential world of comics without having to do a whole series is pretty cool too, seeing that. But also, like I said, you get a difference in artists. Like you and doing a story that you're doing the art in story for in this Hello Darkness issue, and also Zach Kaplan. I feel like you're not the same creators, and so seeing that in the
Yeah.
same issue is kind of cool. You have two different style of stories in the same whatever number of pages. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that also gives creators a good place to sort of like run little experiments,
Yeah.
to do storytelling and stylistic risks that they wouldn't normally take. I think, yeah, that's right. I think I don't know, it's hard to like undersell how important anthologies can be for the medium.
Hmm.
I think that the problem is just like commercially, they usually aren't, big money makers.
No, you're right, but it seemed like someone got together at publishers and were like, "Hey, let's do this starting in
Yeah, let's make,
2020." Like,
yeah.
let's like because it's like one after another. It was just like Creepshow kind of returned, and you saw Hello Darkness doing theirs, and it's like you have this different publishers doing them, and it's just kind of funny that like all of a sudden I know EC doing all the different ones. Honestly, all the different
Hmm.
ones they've got going on. But it's just kind of funny. I was like, it seemed like everybody got together and like, we're gonna do this now. Let's make this
Yeah,
happen.
this is
And
this is our new thing.
we're not. It
Well,
doesn't make
it's
us a
sort of,
bunch of money, but I guess we're all gonna do it. Like, I guess this is fun.
yeah.
Like,
Like I
let's make
guess
it happen.
they must be sort of like doing pretty well, I guess, for everyone to be hopping on it.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's just, I don't comics publishing in particular really feels like there's fads
Hmm.
that publishers go through. Like it's like licensed stuff is really, really popular right now. Like
Hmm.
everybody's excited about Transformers and G.I. Joe and all that stuff. And so it's like everyone is trying to find their license to do, in the last couple years.
It's insane. I feel like it was one of those things that we started reviewing comics, and you get to review XYZ comic from a 1980s cartoon. And then you're like, oh, this is cool. This is so great to see this back. And then by the time you do the fifth review of the fifth different series, you're like, what new can I say about this? Like what? I can't say the same thing. Like, this is really cool to see it modernized and brought to the attention to
Yeah,
because it was
yeah.
something I watched as a kid. Like, do I just copy and paste that from the original review in there, change the words, and then add about the actual issue? But it was like, I just kept on saying it. And then to a point where I was like, well, I don't know if I want any more. Like at this point, like, can we wait a couple of years before we do some more
Yeah, yeah.
and get them out there? Because it just seemed like all of a sudden out of nowhere, it was like every kind of 90s, 80s cartoon that was a hit in that time period has a new series coming out, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want all this now. I want more anthologies. No, but you see, you have a story, the pothole, which it resonated to me a little bit. I got to glance at it this morning because I got an advance copy from Boom, but we have potholes here in Maine. They're big and they're bad, and they're not the same big and bad as what potentially would happen in this Hello Darkness issue. But can you give a
Mhm.
synopsis of what the actual story is about without giving it away? You think, or
Um, well, it's about a man who goes to the city council meeting because there's a pothole,
Mhm.
and he has a very difficult time explaining how big of a problem it is. And even in the end, when they do decide that it's a problem, they don't fully understand what's at stake. So I guess that's probably about as much as I want to say.
Yeah,
And it's just a 10-page story. Like it's,
yeah. Well, that's I guess the hard part. I think to sell anthologies. One is that it's a bunch of different stories in one and trying to describe all of them and not
Hmm.
make this like the solicitation like 3 paragraphs long or something like that. But also like you can't describe the entire story. You're gonna give the whole thing away. Like at least
Yeah,
you could give like even if you give away the first issue of a 5 issue miniseries, like you'd have the rest to deal with. This is
yeah.
like if you give away the first 5 pages, you're like, cool, might as well just tell me the whole
That's
story.
yeah. Well,
Like,
and like well, this story particularly came out of like starting to go to city council meetings here in my own little town and being like and just seeing how it is like especially in small towns, what I think a lot of people don't understand is that like your local government is very it's run by amateurs. Like it's all people who are not getting paid,
yeah.
volunteering to be city councils and they're not professionals and they're just trying to like do their best. And then the community goes to them and they're trying to like they're not experts at like interfacing with
Yeah.
government officials. So they're like amateurs at that too. And it's just like I don't know, it's just this weird like it's equal parts terrifying and inspiring because it
Mhm.
is like just people trying to figure it out. Um,
Well, it's true because I mean, I don't think that even if I had a problem, like 9 times out of 10, if I see a problem, I sadly don't think I'm ever going to do anything about it because I just think like, oh, I have to go to town hall, I have to sit there in the meeting and do it. I had a buddy
yeah,
of
yeah.
mine who just they posted a video of him actually at the Bangor, Maine city council meeting about there's a crack house down the street from his house that they just won't do anything about. Like they
Hmm.
literally they calls the cops and they just won't do anything. So he went to the Bangor City Council and be like, we need to do something. We also have a massive homeless and drug population in our town. And so like he was mentioning about that, about how they're just basically letting people camp out and like they're not trying to figure out other issues or whatever. And he went to it and he's like, it took him like 2 years before he's like, finally, I'm going to go to this meeting. And he said the sad thing about it is that likely nothing's going to happen because, again, the people sitting on the other side of the table
Hmm.
from him don't really have a lot to say to do some of
Yeah.
these things. And like, and so, yeah, the fear of already going to the town hall is the scary part to me, and not even figuring out this man's problem with the pothole.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's like there's multiple fears here, and one of them would be the pothole's a fear, and then also actually just standing in front of people and telling you what the problem is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so you're in this story. As you said, a 10 page story. Zach Kaplan has a story in this one, which is pretty cool. And you've been in, like I said, you've been in a number one. You've done, was it Cruel Universe? Is that the one you've been, or Epitaphs of the
No,
Abyss?
Epitaphs from the Abyss.
Yeah, 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 which has phenomenal covers, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Lee Berme was one of my favorite artists. I don't know, sorry Tyler, but like he's one of my favorite
No, he's great. He's
artists.
great.
It's scary sometimes where I'm like, oh, this is not a photo. Like, come on,
I,
man. Like, this is the...
I did a second story too with Matt Rosenberg.
Okay, yeah.
I don't remember which numbers they're in,
I
but
know
you can
I
find
have it open right here. I have issue 2 is the one with gray green memories,
it. Hmm.
which has the clown cover on it, which is pretty amazing. I actually had it here. I had it open and then it went away. But you've been in a couple of those. You've done, like I said, the Halloween ones for Dark Horse and things like that.
Hmm.
So I mean, Harrow County and the Lonesome. You're a horror vibe to you. Is that something that's you're passionate about? Is the horror side of things too, not just the comic book side of things? Or do you think your
And
artwork just
yes
lends
and
itself to
no.
it?
Like yes and no. Like I really like if I if I could do a book like a comic that felt like a Carson McCullers novel, that would be like the pinnacle.
Mhm.
But that's not like I don't think that's something that there would be a lot of work to make that work as a comic book. So I feel like the horror to me is really just sort of a way of like doing particularly emotional stories and stories that like tie into just day-to-day fears and anxieties and stuff in a way that I don't feel like I at least I could do with like superheroes um or anything else. In fact, like out of Alcatraz, I kind of felt like was a horror story in its own right, you know?
Mhm.
It's like I just feel like whenever there's something that's um I don't know. I think that being a human on the earth is
Yes, it's
horrifying.
horrifying. Yes, yes, it
I
is.
feel like
Yeah.
any story that can really tie into like human experiences and human anxieties is something that I want to explore in my stories. So it's like that tends to be horror.
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, there's so many. And some of my favorite stories are the ones that are like, this is horror that you put horror on top of. Like you added horror to
Yeah.
the horrific thing already. Like this is already scary in the first place. Like I just had Hannah Rose May on and talking about 1600 pen and being like, I don't want to be a kid of a president in the first place. So that's scary shit right there, man. And then you add on the top of that there's like possessions and demons and stuff like that. Like, okay,
Mhm.
you already had it at scary, like being in the White House as a kid and having to deal with the spotlight and shit like that. Then you add on top of that, there's also demons and shit. Like
Mhm.
that's the
Yeah.
best kind of stories in my opinion. And so like that connection to the whole thing and that horror, and then I think that's why horror speaks to a lot of people nowadays, is that emotional connection and the drama that's behind the horror
Mhm.
itself. And so it's pretty cool. So yeah, but I think your artwork also lends itself to it too. Like you're pretty good at putting yourself in that vein of horrific stuff. I mean, Harrow
Yeah.
County is some of the most horrific stuff that you could probably read to a lot of. I had someone who was like, I just can't read it. I'm like, okay, that's
That's
you.
amazing to me because I
Yeah,
feel like Harrow County is like it definitely has its gross out
yeah,
moments, but it is like one of the sweetest stories you
yeah.
could like it is like it really like because we always called it a Southern Gothic horror fairy tale.
Hmm.
And I feel like the fairy tale part of it is like really sort of the motivating thing
Hmm.
more than horror with Harrow County.
But it's true. But I don't have that anyway. I don't think there's much that I can like I could separate myself from anyway. So I'm like, yeah, that's gross,
Mhm.
but like I don't like I can still read it. Like it's not I'm gonna
Yeah,
put it
yeah,
away. There's definitely
yeah.
there's more cringe moments to me in like romance stories than there are in horror stories to me. And it's like God, why like, my wife's watching a Hallmark movie for Christmas. And I'm like this is horrible. Which to be honest with you, you could take 90% of Hallmark movies and just twist one element of it, and it becomes a
Mhm.
horror story. Like immediately
Oh
becomes a
yeah.
horror story. And that's just I sometimes think about that. I'm like, if you change this, and my wife's like, shut up. I'm like, but it'd be interesting. I want Hallmark just to do it one day. Like all
Yeah.
these people like go on their Hallmark channel to watch the Hallmark Christmas movie and not realizing that all of a sudden I know where like someone gets murdered or someone's keeping someone in their basement. You're like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
I thought it was all the guy's name is Nick and her name's Holly. It makes sense. No, but yeah. So quickly before we get off here too, do you find we're in that season, holiday season, the horror season. Is it fun to see that connection to you? Do you see that like horror, holiday, festive, and thing? Like the idea that the two of them seem to meld so well together nowadays, like the Festus Christmas style, but juxtaposition of the whole horror on that.
That doesn't really resonate with me.
Okay.
Like Nightmare Before Christmas,
Hmm.
I think works. Um, but yeah, like seeing Santa Claus like with a dead body, like it does isn't really exciting for me or anything. Like I don't
Okay.
that doesn't
So,
feel very fun.
like Silent Night, Deadly Night is not something you're gonna go see in the theaters here coming up here pretty soon. No.
No,
Okay.
no. And like it feels like those Winnie the Pooh horror
Yes. All
movies
those are. Yeah. That's just.
where it's just sort of like, I don't like Winnie the Pooh actually is kind of scary on its own.
Yes. Well, I thought to my like,
Like,
so one thing I thought we never haven't really seen yet, which I thought and I don't we made it no, at least not big, is like the Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol is a horror story at its heart because it's
yeah,
a ghost
yeah,
story. Like, why haven't we seen a truly terrifying higher budget horror story based around that is beyond
yeah.
me. Because I mean, they did the whole behind the scenes thing with Grinch because the Grinch thing technically is also to me could be really horrifying. Like you make it like
Yeah,
really
yeah.
bad, and obviously they don't have the rights to it, so it was obviously not as good and well produced. But like that, those are the stories where I'm like, those are actual horror stories in my opinion that are like
Hmm.
festivized because it's obviously a children's story. Dr. Seuss wrote,
Yeah.
those ones, but like but Christmas Carol to me has always been one of those ones like you could make it terrifying, like terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think that
Well,
they
and
just no one's done
there's
it.
also like Headless Horseman is
Yeah.
kind of a Christmas story. At
Hmm.
least it takes place in the winter.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of like if you want to do a seasonal horror thing,
Yeah.
like stories about like that just take place in the dark of winter is like potentially. And you're in Maine, I'm in
Yeah.
Oregon. It like gets dark at 4 here, and it's like
It's sad, man. Like it's
it's
so
rough
sad.
sometimes.
I'm like driving home from my office and I'm like, dude, it is dark already. I'm ready for bed now.
Yeah,
And, and then like I went to Iceland a couple of years ago and it was like light at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was the most weird thing I've seen in my life where
that's
like people are just
brutal.
walking on the street at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, I also don't want that. I want the nice happy medium on those things, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like living in Maine. So I'll deal with that side of things. But on the last thing I've quickly been asking people here in December is like, do you have a favorite Christmas movie? Is there something that you always put on around this time of year? Is it Nightmare Before Christmas? Is it something funny? What's going on? What's your
No,
pick
I
for?
do honestly like It's a Wonderful Life,
Mhm.
but I haven't watched
Yeah,
that for a couple years. Like
maybe
I don't think I really have like a Christmas movie that that I love.
Die Hard.
Yeah, I mean I like Die Hard.
Who Hannah Rose May brought up Batman Returns because she was like, "That's my favorite Christmas." I'm like, "It happens at Christmas." Like, it's okay. Yeah, I can see
Does it
that.
happen in Christmas?
Yeah, it happens at
I
Christmas.
don't,
Batman Returns. It's like
is
there's
that
a Christmas tree and like Tim Burton's
okay?
Batman Returns. Yeah, he's like, you guys got a Christmas thing with Nightmare Before Christmas, Batman Returns, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
No, yeah. So Christmas to me is one of those things that's like traditions and stuff. But it's funny is like the ones I remember as a childhood being like I used to watch this show. It was only available on VHS called Follow That Sleigh. It was a claymation like characters with this guy
Oh,
who
yeah, yeah.
this kid's name is Elvis the Rockin' Reindeer, and these kids fall into like Santa's sack and like it's obviously a abyss of some sort and it's kind of
Hmm.
creepy, kind of cool, but it's like, oh, this movie's amazing, and I like put it on, and first of all obviously wasn't as good as it was as a child,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was like 17 minutes long. In my mind it was like an hour and a half movie. I'm
Yeah,
like, this movie's already
yeah.
over. Like, this is insane. But yeah, it's always been one of those things that like watch a few here and there. There hasn't been really a really good Christmas movie other than probably Elf since for a long
I
time.
haven't seen that. You know, yeah, but you mentioned the claymation stuff, but the
Yeah.
Rankin Bass stop
Oh
motion
yeah.
stuff is like still really, really like they're
There's a
just so
few.
like shockingly weird and beautiful.
Yeah,
Like,
yes. And the key ones, you're like, Rudolph and those ones. Those ones
yeah, yeah.
there's a couple of obscure ones that my wife and I tried to watch. We're like, this is racist. And it's like, I can't watch this right now. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
how is this even available to be streamed at this point? No. But they're like the Santa Claus is coming to town and Rudolph. Those ones, like, it's also art. Like, that's not done anymore, really, to that
Yeah.
extent. So it's really cool to see that. And my dad's always said he's surprised they haven't. Do you know what I mean? It's surprised they haven't done a new one in that vein for the
Yeah,
nostalgia,
yeah.
because nostalgia is everything right now, and I'm surprised that like we haven't seen a blockbuster film in December being released of this style of and actually doing it, not using
It's
CGI to make it look like they're
yeah.
doing it. But
Well, I think it's because it's expensive. You know,
yeah,
doing stop motion is like very, very slow process.
I mean, Zootopia 2 just made like $1.5 billion or something like that. So like they can make some money on something, I hear. I mean, I brought my son's first movie he ever went to in the theaters was Zootopia 2 because I needed to find a movie that he would like care about.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm part of that problem. But it was made for 150 million, $50 million, and it's gonna make like 1.5 billion. I'm like, rich getting
That's
richer here.
amazing.
But no. But yeah, so Hello Darkness comes out December 24th from
Mhm.
Boom Studios. So grab that at your
Is it
LCS.
December 24th? Or I thought it was the 17th.
I thought it was the 24th, but maybe it's the 17th. You're right. You could be right. Let me just
I could be wrong. Anyway, it's
dark
coming out towards the end of
number
December.
17. Well, it makes sense the 17th and 17, right? No, it makes sense, right? No, it's December 24th.
Okay. Yeah. So Christmas
December
Eve,
24th.
get to
Yeah, Christmas
the
Eve.
comic shop.
Because you know what? I will say, and this is not, it sounds bad, but like your comic shop does also need help. Like, it's just the holidays is a successful thing for them,
Yeah.
and they do make more money, obviously, than potentially, in September or whatever. But also, less comics come out this time of year, too. People realize that there's actually like less big name comics at least coming out this time of year, so there's less people buying their pull list, or maybe they're not getting their pull list because they're buying Christmas presents. So if you're gonna get anything, get some of the ones that have holiday covers or holiday themed stories or whatever it may be in it. I know Dread the Halls just came out, which is phenomenal. It's a Christmas themed one. There's a couple other Christmas themed anthologies this year. There's some. I heard the Spawn one, I Saw Santa, is like dark, like
Oh
super
yeah.
dark, like the most evil kid ever, like ever. takes on Santa or something like that. So I've heard, and that's Chris Killian is doing that. It wrote that story. But yeah, I heard that's pretty bad, like pretty dark. But yeah, so do that. Go to your local comic book shop. So on the 24th, I know you're doing your other things when you're grabbing your last minute gift. Swing by your LCS and pick up Hello Darkness number 17, and then also pick up Harrow County.
Lots of good gifts for your friends and family at the comic shop.
Yes, Harrow County, the Lonesome Hunters. You know.
Yeah.
Out of Alcatraz, nice hardcover there. No, that's great. Yeah, support your local comic book shop. To me, it's my local comic book shop had a rough 2025, not financially because of things, but like his store got broken into. A car literally just crashed into the front of it, like Saturday night.
That's like, I don't know. It's remarkable to me how many comic shops get broken into nowadays. It's like I follow a lot of comic shops, and it's like it's really bad, and it's just like
so bad.
People stealing like Funko Pops and shit like that. And
well, it was what most was stolen was Pokemon cards. Then he says he sells Pokemon cards.
Man, the Pokemon card situation is like just a nightmare, man. I don't know, like
to me, I was like,
people live with themselves.
I told my friend Paul, it's Galactic Comics and Collectibles. I was like, hey, how is it legal for you to sell Pokemon cards to kids under the 18? Because it's totally gambling. Like you're gambling on what's in the pack and then selling it. Like I know it's okay to sell it to them, but I'm thinking to myself, like the number of kids that have come in there and like literally opened up packs, didn't get anything good, and just left the cards on the table and left because they're like, I didn't want anything that's in there. I'm like, that's like a scratch ticket, man. They didn't win it and they just left their garbage behind. And this is not cool. That person's gonna have addiction to gambling as they get older. And that's why I'm glad they don't do as many blind bag comics out there, because I feel like I would be buying way too many of them. I don't even read Invincible right now or Battle Beast, but I bought a couple of the Battle Beast blind bag variants because I'm like, oh, I want to see what I get out of this thing.
Yeah, just fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for a little thrill.
I gotta stop. I can't do this anymore. But yeah, local comic book shops need your help around this time of year too, because obviously people have a finite dollar amount they can spend, and sometimes the comic book shops get left behind. And yes, your friends, families. There's graphic novels and comics for everybody nowadays. I bought my dad an Elvis graphic novel a couple years ago. He's a big Elvis fan, so there's that. There's an Ali one. So there's sports ones. There's horror. There's everything. But yeah, I personally would say grab out of Alcatraz and maybe some Lonesome Hunters or some Harrow County.
I personally would say that too. That's very interesting.
But yeah, so I appreciate you taking the time out, Tyler, and talking today. I hope this little break from work was our other work help you like reinvigorate and get some stuff going for you, and to write some stuff down and draw some stuff for us. But keep up the great work, and happy New Year, happy holidays, all that stuff. But we'll get you back on in the future if you feel like it in the future.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was a really fun little conversation.
Yes, absolutely. So so get out there and grab comics, keep making comics, and thank you so much, Tyler. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody.